Hello friends, let's begin with part 2 of Marco Polo series. In part 1, we knew about a brief on Marco Polo, how he started his journey, his place of birth Venice, and we came along the Silk Road. The Polos, like so many travelers before them, followed the old Silk Road to get to their final destination in Cathay. Yes, Cathay. Yesterday we spoke about it, right? The present day China. Now you'll ask me, was this road made of silk? No. It got his name because the merchants who used it brought silk back from Cathay. It was a very long road. And in spite of its name, it wasn't just one road, but a series of trails and mountain passes that stretched from China to the eastern shores of the Mediterranean. Some went further north, almost into Russia, while others turned south into India and Arabia. Let's explore more with Marco Polo. Palaces and pavilions. For over 3000 years, the Great Silk Road was the longest land route in the world. It originally connected the Roman Empire to China and stretched for more than 12,850 kilometers. Long way, right? Linking regions as different as Russia, Africa, Arabia, India, and Persia. Marco would have gazed open-mouthed at the golden spires and the jeweled domes of the palaces and pavilions as the Polo's caravan wound through the hills and valleys. Now, friends, you'll ask me, in the 13th century, there were no cars, right? Then how come caravans? Caravans? You know what are those? In the olden days, a caravan is nothing but a group of merchants who travel together for safety as well as companionship. Merchants like the Polos would hire camels or asses to carry their goods, and sometimes they hired guides to show them the way. The Polos had seen the most wonderful things: the glittering salt mountains, rainbow-colored hills. They also found gemstones like jasper and quartz lying in the riverbed. For the road was lined with splendid cities whose romantic names are still recognized today: Samarkand, Baghdad, Jeddah, Karakoram. The beautiful Tilakari Mosque, Samarkand of Uzbekistan, the Blue Mosque of Istanbul, Turkey. Aren't these beautiful places? Marco had seen many such beautiful places on his travel of 24 years. Yes, Marco traveled for 24 long years, and he noted down many of the things in his diaries. Let me tell you the tale of an enchanted garden. An old man named Alauddin lived in a castle overlooking a beautiful valley. There he grew a scented garden, filling it with exotic flowers, fruit trees, and streams running with wine and honey. He entertained his warriors there, letting them eat and drink their fill until they agreed to carry out his orders. The warriors were so enchanted by the wonders of the garden, they were prepared to kill all of the Alauddin's armies so they could live in there forever. Alauddin's band of assassins rampaged the land until Alauddin's castle was destroyed by the Great Khan's Mongol armies. Now let me tell you about the bitter waters. Yeah, bitter waters from Persia to the Hindu Kush. From Hormuz, the Polos traveled northeast to Karman and then across an empty desert full of poisonous water, as green as grass. In fact, the water was probably just unusually salty and undrinkable. The Polos made their way to Mashdad. Now it is known as Meshhed in Timochin, and then followed the North Persian border to the east, where an excited Marco heard the tribal story of Alauddin band's assassins. Okay, do you know Balshan? This is another region where rubies were mined from the mountains. And you know what? Only the king was allowed to dig them and no one else, because there were so many gems and the king would keep their price high. Wasn't he a clever king? Yes. So, let's go to the Hindu Kush valley of Balshan, also the valley of horses. At the last, the Polos reached the shadows of the mighty Hindu Kush mountains. Marco tells us that the plains of Balshan were overrun by a herd of magnificent wild horses bred from Alexander the Great, famous steed Bucephalus. The Polos liked the palace so much they decided to spend a year there, so Marco could recover from an illness and enjoy the fresh mountain air. Marco also wrote about the wildlife he saw in his travels. Strange looking cows with shaggy coats and straggly belts, odd yaks, and woolly sheep with huge curly horns, hawks, falcons. You know, the falcons which Marco saw were so large and fierce that they could even pick up a lamb in their talons and fly off high with it. Marco saw camels also. Yes, when he passed the deserts, so that they wouldn't need to keep stopping at the water holes on the way. That's because camels store their food and water in their humps. We knew this, right? Yes. Marco also saw something strange, a bird, Bargilak, which, with his forked tail and claws, can swallow birds, huge birds. Close by, he also saw Gaderi, a kind of antelope that the people got musk from. You know what is musk? Yeah, it's a perfume, right? We have heard about a perfume named musk. It's an animal oil used to make perfume. So friends, is it Marco Polo stories exciting? Await part 3 now of this lovely Marco Polo series. Thank you.